So, I don't normally do this. I am driving. I do have it on a mount, so this is safer than someone holding it in the camera. But I wanted to make this because something's been bothering me for a while now, several weeks minimum. And so I figured I'd just do it. I'm thinking about it now. We're just going to do it. And we're going to do it safely. Story time. So, as some people who have watched the podcast know, or anyone who's read my newsletter knows, I've been watching AI for a while, but I don't know if people realize how deeply I am entrenched in that. Just some quick talking points. I started using AI pretty aggressively in 2023. Around that same time, I had a friend come and talk me into helping him build a consulting startup that was using AI. I use it at work to help me with just about everything. Not saying that I couldn't do it otherwise, but just because I have it there and I know how to use it, I've used it. I've used Base 44 to design a stock valuation education tool that's easier to use than a coloring book. The point of what I'm trying to say here is I'm familiar with it and I actually enjoy it in some cases. It's good at some things. Story time now. About 2 or 3 months ago at the company I work at, the CEO came to the decision, and I agreed with him, that it's time to switch from developers to AI-supported development. And I was excited about it. We'd had some pretty rough goes with several overseas developers, and it was getting to the point where we were getting really frustrated with lack of quality, and we weren't sure what else to do. And that's when an architect that we knew came to us and said, I'll rebuild your entire app on AI. It'll be quick. It'll be done soon. We love that because we've already been in this for 2.5 years. Anyway, it was about the same time that the AI fear, the job apocalypse narrative really hit its peak. That was when you heard about people saying, I've been unemployed for 6 months, I don't know what to do, and people going on podcasts and TV shows talking about the dangers of AI models. I even had someone on. I had Jay Samit, one of the early investors in eBay, tell me that he heard at Davos that 30% of jobs were going to disappear by 2030. You get the idea. So in the midst of all this, it seemed like we were making the right call. We were going to switch over to agent development, and it's going to save us on costs, etc., etc. You get the idea. I was on board with that. I have my suspicions about AI, to be clear. Because everything I look at and everything I read, all the data that I study, makes me raise an eyebrow. But, like I've said repeatedly on the newsletter, every time that we came to like a specific red flag moment where if we see this flag, it's over, AI passed every time. OpenAI, Anthropic, all of them survived every time I came to a moment that was an inflection point for me. And so I was like, okay, maybe this is sticking around. You had OpenAI and Anthropic announced their IPOs in pre-market securitized token offering sites. Anthropic was hitting $1 trillion in valuation. It seemed like this was the future. And I've spouted that several times, and I still do believe that to some sense, that AI-driven software development is going to be a very big value add. I'm starting to rethink that. Not completely, but a little bit. And the reason why I'm rethinking that is because I finally have seen the outputs of the agents we used, and it was pitiful. So we are to blame for some of that, for sure, but it didn't follow half the requirements we gave it. That's when I really started, and that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that's when I really started to question my assumptions, let's say. And then SpaceX happened, and I dug into that, and you can go read it on the newsletter right now. It does not look good. It seems like everything that would make SpaceX worth what it's worth is 20 to hundreds of years away. So there's that. And now we're starting to see reports come out that's saying the OpenAI IPO is being postponed till 2027. I'm sure that's going to ruffle some feathers. It's not the first piece of suspicious news I've heard. For me, what really started to make me concerned about where this is going was about shortly around the same time that I got the output from the agents that we used, when I heard that the CFO of OpenAI was fighting with Sam Altman. That doesn't look good when you're weeks away from an IPO. So where am I going with this? How I'm reading this situation right now, and I could be totally wrong, this is not financial advice, it's just my opinion, but I think there's some merit to this. We are at a Minsky moment. And not exactly, because I heard some debate about whether you can predict Minsky moments or not, but we're at a moment where AI is on a knife's edge. Things have not gotten cheaper. There's no evidence that they're going to try to make it cheaper. In fact, the evidence from Micron, SanDisk, and others, how crazy their stock runs have been this year so far, tells me that they're just going to keep raising their prices until they can't anymore to jack up their margins, which they should with how much demand there is. However, the list of reasons for why OpenAI could convince more investors to give them money is getting shorter and shorter every single week. That's a dangerous position to be in. I was listening to Prof G Markets the other day, talking with, I don't remember his name. I was watching him right now. The author of Where's Your Ed At? And he said exactly what I'm feeling, where people are starting to question, why are we paying all this money for subpar computer-generated nonsense? Why are we paying all this money to build all these data centers? Who's even going to rent them? Those questions are starting to actually be asked in earnest. And 6 months ago, you would have been laughed out of the building for asking that. That's not good for this AI revolution. You know, I was suspicious of this. I wasn't sure, but I was suspicious of it when I heard about a year ago, listening to Moonshots, where Peter Diamandis was saying that we've crossed over the Rubicon, we've crossed the singularity, and AI is just going to take over everything now. Now, it seems like that is the same thing that we had in 2001, 2008, and previous bubbles. Snake oil and hype. We may be down to the wire on this. I'm not sure for certain, but we'll know in the next 2 to 3 months if companies start asking, why are we paying for all this AI spend, or worse, if they pull back, we can pretty much guarantee that it's over. That doesn't mean AI is going away. It'll take some other shape, but the job apocalypse and AI revolution future, I think, is dead. Now, who knows? That could change over the next couple of years as things get more efficient, but for now, I think the game is over. That is bad news for people who've invested in those companies, but it's also good news, because if there's no AI future, there's no job apocalypse. And if there's no job apocalypse, that means people are going to need to hire human beings again, which will be good for just about everyone, I think. And so that's why I made this one. It's not so much to criticize anyone or to make a prediction. If anything, it's to open some dialogue. Where do you guys think this is going to go? Me personally, I don't like the picture that I'm seeing. And more evidence is supporting that picture than less. I don't personally think that AI is going to eliminate all jobs in 30 years or whatever is being said. But what do you guys think? after you watch this video, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you see AI going away? Do you see it making a comeback? Let me know. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Hopefully all of you have a great weekend, and talk to you next time. Bye.